Bouts Ennis versus Teofimo Lopez is what Turki Alalshikh is now promoting on, or at least asking questions on social media if we want the fight. But what about Barboza Jr.? We're going to talk about that in this video. We're going to break down some highlights on Barboza. And does he beat, Teofimo Lopez? But first, welcome Boxing YouTube, back to Boxing Unwrapped. Welcome San Isidro, Puerto Rico, and East Harlem Stand Up. We're now doing a new episode, and we're going to break that down. We're going to break down Barboza against Jake Catarol because that's his best win. And we're going to see from that fight whether or not he beats, Teofimo Lopez. And is Turki Alalshikh looking too far ahead, right? And not giving the respect to Barboza Jr. that he might deserve, right? Because we don't know. So we're going to break that down. But first, if you're new here, thank you for choosing this video. And please consider, if you're new, subscribing, liking, and sharing. And if you're an older subscriber, thank you for coming back and supporting this channel. And also, like and share this video. Let's get right down to the video. Here we go. Real quick, with these highlights, we're going to judge whether or not...
On the zone. Brought to you by that...
Jack Catarol, Barboza is a threat for Teofimo Lopez. Fast forward this a little bit. Now, I did watch this fight prior to this breakdown, and I came away with a couple things. Now, you see Barboza using the jab here. Now, one thing we all probably can agree is that Catarol is not as fast or as powerful as Teofimo Lopez. Keep that in mind. Now, you see him here. You saw that uppercut, right? Now, he threw it from 3 houses down.
To the folklore
Here we go.
of fighters with Mexican-American backgrounds. And he's a very good fighter.
Now, he's just stalking him. He gets hit like that from Teo, and Teo's a great counter puncher, right? He loves to counter punch. Again, you saw that sneaky. Now, we're going to see the uppercut here, right? 3 zip codes down. If that's Teofimo, I'm not sure he doesn't get wobbled by that. I think he does. Now, you saw that sneaky right hand inside? That's something Barboza can't do against Teofimo Lopez, and he's doing it against Catarol. And Catarol, I believe, although a very good fighter, it's not on the level of Teofimo Lopez when Teofimo is at his best. Now you see how Barboza is just, and of course, so the fight has a bigger context, but these are like the best parts usually of the fight. You don't see a lot of jabbing and counter punching from Barboza, which is something he's gonna have to do with Teofimo because he's gonna have to set up shots. The problem is that when he reaches the way he's used to him reaching here against Catarol, he's gonna get countered. Teo has the hand speed and the power, and Teo's broad-shouldered, so all his power comes from here, and that torque is crazy. But Catarol early was catching him, and throughout the fight he was catching him. I think if Catarol would have actually just pressed on the gas a little more, he probably would have got the nod because, it is what it was. But you see that in those exchanges when Catarol is throwing with Barboza? Now, one thing about Barboza that maybe some of you, because I even forgot, because of the press conference. By the way, Barboza's doing a hell of a job during selling the fight during the press conferences, because I forgot and I thought that he had a bigger knockout record than he actually does. He only has 11 knockouts, his 30-0 record, which is like, okay, you don't have the power to keep Teo honest. You see that? He's just getting caught with shots that you worry. And Kattar was doing good movement here, but neither one of them was busy enough to me. And Barboza just maybe a hair busier and more accurate at times. But the bigger punches that made it look like something was happening in the fight seemed to have come from Catarol. you saw. Okay, now here's my worry right here. Another worry I got. Watch this combination from Barboza. That was one of the slowest combinations I've ever seen in my life. 1-2s I've ever seen in my life. You can't beat Teo like that. Teo on his it's gonna be a task for Barboza to keep Teo honest. He doesn't have enough output. See what I'm saying? And look, boom. He just got hit by a jab. At a flick of the wrist, Catarol wasn't even trying to hit him hard or flush. He just pat. And I really have forgotten about this fight. And as I'm listening to the press conferences, I'm thinking, wow, Barboza's a beast, right? I'm thinking in my head that he's different than he really was. And I'm looking at this fight, this being his biggest win. And I'm like, oh, Barboza didn't look as menacing as I thought he did. Look, he's just getting hit. Right there, he hit Catarol. Boom, boom. Made him two-step stutter. Now watch this. He's just getting backed up by Catarol. And then Teo has the biggest experience. Look, boom. Left hand over the top. Teo throws those punches with bad intentions, though. That's the problem. So he went to the body there. He's catching Catarol there. Now, you would expect that because now it's the 7th round. People are, fighters just tend to slow down a bit. Boom, boom. But take yourself out all the times. That ref was not in position when he yelled that. So, I don't think Catarol did it on purpose. But it shows that Barboza could have mental lapses. Because it's protect yourself at all times, even if you hear the referee say break. And if that would have been Teo hitting him like that, he would have probably knocked him out. A la Victor Ortiz Mayweather. See that left hand came up top came from the bottom up. When Catarol is barely missed. Teo hits him it's more accurate. Hits him with that, it's gonna hurt him. Now, I will say that Barboza is at least somewhat defensively responsible. He's keeping his hands up and he's keeping that right hand right by that chin most times. So he can defend that side. Now there I thought that he got hit to the body. There was a punch, but the feet went back. The feet did tie up. So good on the ref on that one. And had they called that for Catarol at that time, he would have won on the scorecards. If it would have been erroneously called for Catarol as a knockdown, which would have been, unfortunate, and probably would have been Catarol right now versus Teofimo. See, now Catarol is Barboza being a little bit more accurate with his punching now. But see how he's feinting, but he's not following up. Barboza is he's feinting Catarol, but he's not following up the feint. Catarol caught him. He responded a little bit, but Catarol really got the better punch out of that little situation there. Catarol was now defensively responsible there and got caught on the way back out. But see, in exchanges like that, I don't know if Barboza has enough to keep Teo from, not winging it away, and putting him out.
Marcus McDonald.
Yes, sir.
115, 113, Catarol. Patrick Morley. 115, 113, Barboza.
Close fight. because they both weren't busy enough.
And Leszek Jankowiak scores this
But you see
bout.
Barboza's face is more tagged up.
113 for your winner by split decision and the new
And here's where you know that Barboza was not expecting this.
Arnold Barboza.
You see that reaction? He knew he got, you know.
Well, we
He,
saw
he
the
pro- I mean,
celebration
I'm not mad at the
from
decision.
Bell.
I'm not mad at the decision. I think that Barboza did just enough to get the win. But you can't be like that against Teofimo Lopez. And here's my thing. I think Teofimo Lopez knocks him out round 7 or 8. He's not fast enough. He's not active enough. And aside from keeping his hand by his chin, his right by his chin, he doesn't seem, when he throws his punches and bunches, he's not defensively responsible. So at that point, is Jaron Bouts Ennis in the cards? I mean, Turki Alalshikh probably knows this too, yeah. So that's why he's promoting it now, because he knows that it seems more than likely that Teofimo Lopez versus Barboza Jr. is just a formality for Teofimo just to look better in that fight and move on. I don't even think it takes a great deal to beat Barboza Jr. I think if he just comes in as a good representation of who Teofimo is, right? Because we all seen Teofimo come in uninspired versus inspired and how different that looks. If Teofimo just comes in good, he wins the fight easily. If he comes in like, I want to knock this guy out and look spectacular, he takes him out in 7 or 8 rounds. And not even in a close fight. Like, Teofimo just taking the fight to Barboza, beating him up for 6, 7 rounds, and then finally just puts him out of his misery in the 8th round. I think that's what it would be. I would be highly surprised if Teofimo loses this fight. Or as if it's a close contested fight like if it was with Sandor Martin. Remember that? I will be very surprised. I mean, Sandor Martin is just a better fighter all around. I think he makes everybody look kind of like wishy-washy on any given day. But Barboza, to me, hasn't. I mean, you know, I think he has a couple fights under his belt. Let me see. So Barboza's. I thought I had it open, but I do not. I don't have it open. But Catarol is definitely his best win, right? So we all can say that Catarol is his best win, and I think that if Bouts Ennis is the next fight, I think it's not a mega fight, but it's a super fight, I guess. And we got to talk about that once that becomes a reality, if that comes a reality to that fight. And we'll break that fight down when the time comes. But anyway, I think Teofimo Lopez whitewashes Barboza. Now that I'm seeing all of this, taking into consideration his knockout percentages, taking into consideration his hand speed, foot speed, and lack of defense and combinations. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you think? Does Teofimo walk over and around Catarol? Or do you think that Barboza, does Barboza have a chance? What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. And I'll see you in the next video. And I'm out. Peace.